Leetcode question 1046. Last stone weight. You are given an array of integer stones, where stones I is the weight of ith stone. We are playing a game with stones. On each turn, we choose the heaviest two stones and smash them together. Suppose the heaviest two stones have weights x and y, with x less than or equal to y. The result of this smash is, if x and y, if the x equals to y, both stones are destroyed, and then if x is not equal to y, the stone of weight x is destroyed, and then the stone of weight y has new weight y minus x. At the end of the game, there is at most one stone left. Return the weight of last remaining stone. If there is no stone left, return 0. Example 1. This is the stones. We first combine 7 and 8 because they have the heaviest weight, and then after combine, we get 1, that is 8 minus 7. So this array becomes 2, 4, followed by 3 ones. We combine 2 and 4 to get 2. So the array converts to 2 followed by 3 ones, and combine 2 and 1 to get 1. So the arrays convert to 1, 3 ones. And then we just combine 1, 1 to get 0. And then this array becomes 1. That's the value of the last stone. So the idea for solving this one is to use a data structure called Heap. So basically for each turn, we pick the heaviest two. So that's kind of requires some sort. So basically for every turn, we need to return the heaviest two. And then for the smash, if x equals to y, we destroy both x and y. Basically we need to delete x and y from the original array. And then if x not equals to y, we still destroy x and y, but we also add a new element, y minus x. And then after adding this y minus x, it would change the order in the sorted array. So in that case, we need to resort it. So in this case, basically we need to return the heaviest two. That requires an order, and then we need to add new element at resort. So this is actually a perfect use case for Heap. So let's actually code this. So basically we just initialize Heap, and then for the stone, for x in stones, we also need to import the Heap queue. So this is Python default implementation of Heap, and then it's default to min heap. So in that case, we need to heap queue dot heap push heap, and then we need to insert minus x. Why minus x? Because we want to pick the heaviest two. So, but this queue default implementation heap queue is is a minimum. So basically that means the minimum value is at the top of the heap. So in that case, we want to insert the minus value. So in that case, basically every time when it returns the smallest value in this heap, then it's actually the heaviest stone. And then file heap. Our x is heap q dot heap pop heap, and then y is also our y is heap q dot heap pop. So let me make this as y, first as y, and then the second is just x. And then here we should pop while the length of heap is greater than 1. If x not equal to y, so in that case, heap q dot heap push heap and y minus x. And in the end, we just return heap. We need to reverse the value to make it positive again. Oh, in the end, we also need to consider the edge case. It's possible that this heap, all the elements from the heap has been popped. So in that case, if not heap, return 0. Else, if there is element remaining in the heap, then we just return the top of the heap. So this is the solution using heap. So we first construct a heap, and then since the default implementation is a min heap, so basically we turn this min heap into a max heap by negate the value of the weight, and then while we have more than one element in the heap, we just pop two elements from the heap, and then we compare their value. If they're not equal to each other, in that case, we just push their difference back to the heap. And then in the end, if this heap does not have any remaining elements, which means there's no stone left, the return value is 0. Otherwise, we return the top from the top of the heap. And we also need to negate the value to get the original weight.